So here we go. What's up, everybody? Today, for my guest, very special guest with everything going on in the world right now. I have my roommate from college, Tahjay Thompson. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Just living life, taking it day by day, doing
Yeah,
that.
it's
Situation going on.
yeah, dude, it's really nice out today.
It was. Yeah, it was. It's not like raining right now, but at least on my side.
Yeah, it's mad sunny where I am right now, but I saw it was really sunny where you were. You're in Hyde Park, right, in Boston?
Yeah, yeah.
What
Earlier,
what street was that you were recording?
that was on River.
Oh, okay, okay. I think because I showed my mom and I was like, that looks very familiar, and
Yeah,
she was like, that's probably Pete, and I was like, oh shit.
yeah,
Um, so I know you are a member of the Black Lives Matter group and community. You know, you're part of
yes,
the Black
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Um, Now with everything going on in our country, it's a really tough time for people of color.
Mm.
And I know you went to one of the protests. Was it Monday or Sunday in Boston? I forget.
That was Sunday. Yeah, that was Sunday from like 6 to whenever it ended up ending.
How did that go? I didn't see anything. But how did it go for you?
It was really good, actually. It was the first protest I'd ever actually been to, so it was like a new experience for me. But it was just amazing seeing all those people and like everyone just chanting, being in like solidarity with each other. So it was a really good thing to see and be a part of for sure.
Yeah. Did you go out at night? I saw it was kind of chaotic that night.
Yeah, I was there. I was there towards when like things started getting a little bit more antsy because Um, I can't really speak too much about the details
Mhm.
necessarily, but I was there for some of it. I saw a lot of what was happening. I think also just the way that it was portrayed was maybe a little bit misconstrued, but
Mhm.
yeah, I was there for some of that too. I think I left around maybe I want to say maybe 10 o'clock, which was like right when it was kind of starting. So
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot on the news about it. It was they showed the protest that you were at earlier in the day, and then at night they didn't show anything on the news but the
yeah,
bad stuff that was
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Which is it can portray a really bad image for the movement when you only show that, and that's what a lot of people focus on. A lot of people don't focus on the organized and peaceful protests during the day. They focus on what's happening at night, which is sad. It's sad.
that is true. That is true. I think also um part of the matter is just that there's not a lot of context within the situation. So all you ever really see is like, the people who are like they'll show you images of maybe someone kicking a cop car or something, but they won't show you why that happened or like, what kind of led up to those things happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Because, me personally, like I don't endorse any type of violence. Like I don't think that's the way to go about things, but
Hmm.
there's always going to be a point where like just being peaceful just like isn't really gonna do much. And I mean that's not to say that it doesn't still deserve its place and that we aren't supposed to still do it, because as I said, the first half was, a beautiful thing, but
Yeah.
there are reasons why the second half is what I'm saying, and I just don't feel like a lot of context is given to that.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely. Now have you seen? Well, no, I not have you. I know you've seen what our president has been saying about all of this.
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
What did he say? He called the people thugs.
Yeah.
Uh, he said that I think it was yesterday. He said George Floyd is probably looking down right now and he's proud.
Of the economy or something like that. I don't know. My mother told me about it, but yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. I really try my best. I know like he's the president, so I have to stay informed, but I try my best to like just not give too much of my time and like mental energy to the things that he says, just because I already know like where his positions lie. So I'm just like, it is what it is. But I don't know. Yeah, that stuff that he says definitely it's it's interesting.
That's actually a great mindset to have. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people get, they'll get all worked up about something that he says.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do right now. His
right,
presidency is almost over for this term. I don't know
right.
if he's going to win next year, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Um, do you own any t-shirts like I Can't Breathe or Black Lives Matter t-shirts?
No, not really. I just have a lot. I just have a lot of black T-shirts, but nothing necessarily with the prints and all that stuff. But I don't know. I probably should be buying the merchandise. I do want to try to like buy black more often, like from more black businesses, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to kind of just help us,
Mhm.
keeping the money within our community so it can circulate better. But yeah, no, I don't have any currently.
I bought a T-shirt a couple years ago. I think like 2014, 2015.
Mhm.
I've talked about this with a lot of people. It's when I'm. Are you familiar with Michael Brown?
Yes.
Yeah, I bought it around. I bought it that time, a couple months after it happened. And I hadn't brought it out. I haven't brought it out since then. I didn't really. I didn't. No one was. I didn't really meet anyone that was too passionate about what was happening at that time. None of my friends were posting about what happened to Michael Brown or anything like that.
Right.
So I kind of put it away in my closet because I was like, I guess people have kind of moved on from this incident.
Right.
But 5, 6 years later, I brought back out my what I put my hands up, don't shoot
Mhm.
shirt, and I thought it was sad that I had to bring that back out.
Yeah.
Half a decade later.
Yeah.
But it is good that a lot of people are getting behind this movement now. It's
Oh,
better
definitely.
now
Definitely.
than ever.
Definitely. I think that makes a lot of sense, and you're definitely right with that because I know when I saw it happening, it's sad and it's tragic and it's like frustrating as it is. I was really happy just to see that people were like really taking a stand and were saying something about it. Because I feel like too often like it becomes a hashtag and or like a trend or
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like something that just exists for maybe 2 weeks and then after that people go back to their daily lives. So I really appreciated just seeing everyone like say no, like this is enough. We're gonna really say something, do something this time. So it's still tragic and it's still sad and it's still like what it is, but
Hmm.
uh, I think that's maybe one of the only like silver lining throughout the whole situation.
Yeah, definitely. I know I saw you post something. You posted something a couple days ago on Instagram.
Hmm.
It was I saw, and then I saw a lot more people posting it after you.
Yeah,
It was I this is what I saw. I want to you explain it in a
yeah.
second, but it was you and you tagged three people. Do they all go to Bridgewater, right? They all go to our college.
Um, Two of them did.
Two of
One
them.
of them was my little brother. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, I didn't know you had a little brother.
yeah,
But yeah, you posted them, and you were basically, from what I understood, you were basically, showing support for your friends,
yeah,
for fellow members of the Black community. And you wanted to keep that going, and I
yeah.
kept seeing that. But if that's not what it really was, could you tell me?
Of course, of course. I mean, I think you have basically the right idea. Essentially, what it was, because I had gotten tagged in it at first, so like that wasn't something I just did off my own. Like
Okay.
apparently it had been already going around, and
Hmm.
one of my friends tagged me in it. And so I said, I really support what this is, and essentially decided to do it myself. But basically, what that whole kind of challenge was about, or at least how I interpreted it, was it's a way for us to kind of just support each other because all too often, especially in times like this, like we can become kind of divisive. So like you'll have people who have one state of mind and other people have another state of mind. And like basically what that was about was telling us that like we all have one mission. You know what I'm saying? And we're
Hmm.
all kind of going through the same things. We all have to deal with certain things as Black men. So it's like it makes sense that we should try to lift each other up instead of tear each other down because a lot of the world is already doing that. So we don't need to kind of add to that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I see like I didn't know that's what it really was. It has a really deep meaning, obviously, I can tell. But I wouldn't have got that full extent of it if I hadn't asked you.
yeah,
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. I know you tagged Malcolm in it. Malcolm's a great guy.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I followed him after you tagged him, and he accepted me, but he didn't follow me back. I was like, what? I was about to text him and be like, yo, what's up with that? But I know, a lot of people have their stance on the police force as a whole right
Yeah.
now. And me personally, I talked about this with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we said all cops aren't bad because we're friends with we're friends with people who have police
Right.
officers in their family, and they've been nothing but nice to us. We've seen how they treat other people, and
Right.
it's nothing like what we've been seeing now. I do not think, I know that the judicial system and the system that they work for is corrupt and definitely is in favor of people that are white.
Yeah.
But there are some good people out there that are police officers, but there are also bad police officers.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Because I know it's something that a lot of people are talking about right now.
Honestly, I would probably say, I mean, it'd be ridiculous to kind of generalize an entire like group of people, like that's kind of what this entire like thing is about, like just not making assumptions based off what you think So I could never say that every single police officer is evil and wants to see like black people die. Like that'd be an extreme, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, like it's a corrupt system. I think there are a lot of challenges. There's also a lot of like just built-in racism just from like its origin and its history, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily, I couldn't say that every police officer is like someone who's out here trying to make other people's lives like worse. Because my father was a police officer at one point too, like not in America, but in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, he was a police officer. So I know not like every police officer is bad, but at the same time, it's just you have to like understand and see that the institution that they're working within needs a lot of reform.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think we just need to go from there. I'm not gonna say, as I said, I'm not gonna say every police is bad, but I think we do need to think about some changes and try to make things better, because obviously the way that it's been going for like since forever isn't helping. So
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people right now are, they're so caught up in emotion that they will say, they're like, fuck the police, and
right,
it's not all the police.
right,
But you're so caught up with emotion as someone who experiences, not you specifically, I'm talking about right now, but people that say it. They're so caught up with the emotion, and they're sick and tired of being prejudiced, feeling prejudiced, and
right.
it makes sense why they would blurt out something like that. They
Mhm.
may not really mean it. If you actually sit down and talk to them, they will tell you their stance, but in the moment they may say, like, fuck the police.
Right.
And I didn't know that your dad was a police officer. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was for about, I think it was maybe like 16 years. He was a police officer before I was born, and then like for a couple of years after. But yeah, and even with those stances too, to be honest, I feel like when people say that, and this is just like me personally, but I feel like
Yeah,
when people say that, it's more towards, again, like, I don't know how I would describe it, but it's essentially more towards like police institutions again. Like I don't think they're saying fuck every police. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't know if I can swear, but like every police officer. But like it's more just what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's a similar thing with even the Black Lives Matter and how people get offended when you say that. So yeah.
Did you well, you probably did. I don't know if you actually read it, but did you see that thing I posted on my story? I think it was yesterday about like it was like the explaining why Black Lives Matter, why you shouldn't say all lives matter
I
in
I
time of
think
Black.
so. I feel like I have. I know I've been seeing a lot of that. I definitely saw something today, so I don't remember quite if maybe it was you, but I know I definitely saw something along those lines.
It
So
was about putting a fire out on a house.
yeah,
I I um I shared it with a whole bunch of people because it's here it is. I feel like it's a really good definition of why the Black Lives Matter movement is so important, and why all lives matter is
Right.
it's not it's I was talking about this with my friends. We don't like the All Lives Matter movement because it was created as a counter group for the Black Lives Matter movement at the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
It was Black Lives Matter because these people are being oppressed right now by the police and
Right.
by the system. But people are saying, no, you need to say all lives matter. You can't exclude all the other races that we have. But it's
Right.
like, but they're not being affected right now by this specific problem.
Exactly.
It was like this is what it was. This is Black Lives Matter, to use an analogy, is like if there was a subdivision and a house was on fire, the fire department wouldn't show up and start putting water on all the houses because all houses matter. They would
Right.
show up and they would turn their water on the house that was burning because that's the house that needs the help the most.
Exactly.
And that's really putting it into basic terms that really anyone can understand. And if you can't understand why, it matters
Right.
most now after reading that, then there's no way I can change your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some people are just choosing ignorance just because, like, in states of denial and stuff like that. But I think that quote, like, perfectly sums it up. I know I saw somewhere else where someone was saying essentially that, when we say, like, save the rainforest or something, it's not like we're saying F every other rainforest. You know what I'm saying? It's just, this is the rainforest that's facing the problems right now, or like whatever. You can really translate it to anything. Like, just because you're saying this matters, that doesn't take away from anything else that matters too. It's just, this is what needs to help. This is what needs to focus. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I know myself, speaking from personal experience, I've I'm not a black man. I can't
Mhm.
speak for I can't speak for the black community.
Right.
I'm not part of it. But I am a man who, is Latino and has a darker skin color.
Right.
And believe it or not, a lot of people when I was younger thought I was black because I live
Right.
in such a white place. They would be
Right.
like,
Right.
"Are you
Right.
black?" Like, no. But I do feel I feel the pain, not the same, but I do feel the anger and some of the pain that people in the black community do, because it's regardless if you're black or Latino, or you're gonna get prejudiced by
Right.
people because of your skin color. I know I get looked at funny. When I wore my Hands Up Don't Shoot shirt, a lot of people gave me a weird eye.
Yeah.
And that's not only because I was wearing the shirt, but because I'm someone of color. I'm a
Right.
person of color regardless.
Right.
But I would be wearing it in support because I feel like the black community it has a special place in my heart, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not white. I'm not black either,
Right.
but
Right.
it's something that I can really get behind. Because yeah, really. I
Yeah.
think the black community is a black culture. Let me say everything that a person of color that has contributed to society is amazing to where we are right now. I was talking about this with my friends. I said if you took away some of the greatest people in certain areas that were black,
Right.
what would you be left with? I used like Whitney Houston. If you took away MLK, if you took away
Right.
Jackie Robinson, if LeBron James, Michael Jordan, like, what are you left with? They really helped create what those things are now.
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's amazing to really think about how much black culture has impacted our lives right now, regardless if you're white or black. I think a lot of there's a lot of white people out there who will, I said this in another podcast I talked about
Mm-hmm.
someone, but they'll take a lot from the culture, but a lot of them won't show up
Yeah.
when it's time to stand up for
Oh yeah.
rights.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I see that all the time. I feel like even in college, I would see people who, like they take their little bits from the culture. It might just be music, it might be hairstyles, it might be slang, whatever it is, and I look now and I don't see any of those. I don't see any of those people, and I'm just like, you got, it's just, I don't know. I feel like I give too many people too many passes just because I try to like give people the benefit of the doubt, but
Yeah.
all too often it turns up that like it was never really what you thought it was, right? So yeah, I see that a lot. I see that a lot. I feel like especially in college,
Yeah.
I see that a lot. But
Now I know we both know there was a recent incident at our college.
yeah, yeah.
That was I remember seeing that and I couldn't believe it. I think you posted it first and then I saw it
Hmm.
on other people's
Hmm.
and I was like I couldn't believe it. I think I talked about the Kenya too.
Yeah,
We were like come on, like that's
yeah.
but I know you definitely were,
Yeah, I was upset.
very upset.
I
Yeah.
was, I was definitely upset.
Yeah.
Um,
She's gone though now, which is good.
yeah, yeah. I got the email from the president. He said that like they handled it swiftly and all that. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I think our school is very there's a lot of white kids at our school, but there's
Mhm.
also a lot of diversity at our school. I think Bridgewater does do very well in its diversity and how it treats people of color. Because I've never I've met more like Dominicans and there than I have ever in my entire life. I've met more Jamaicans there. I've met Puerto Ricans. It's insane how diverse our college is, especially because where it's placed. You have Brockton right there, and then you have Boston. I do like how the president handles these type of things.
Yeah.
Our school president, but and I know there's groups. I'm not part of any, but I know
Mhm.
there's groups for certain people, for like people of color, aren't there? Like certain clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Aren't you part of one?
Um, I don't really know if I'd say I'm part of it, but I definitely go to the meetings, like probably all the meetings. But the African Student Association.
Okay.
So that's one group on campus, and I don't know. Going back to what you said, I definitely agree that there's definitely visible diversity at that school.
Hmm.
However, I don't know if how well they represent us though, because just because I know like from a president of I wouldn't say ASA, but I know one of the black groups, being one of them like being a president of that group has spoken out about how there are a lot of other like black sororities or fraternities that may not receive as much funding as some of
Yeah.
the other sororities on campus or groups that aren't like I'm not gonna say prioritized, but aren't really given any type of credence at all, sort
Yeah.
of. And it's like, I don't know. I think we definitely need some better representation, but all in all, I know we can get there. It just depends on how vocal we're willing to be and just how much effort we're willing to put in to trying to see these problems fixed. So
Yeah. Isn't yeah? I think isn't there an all black sorority? Isn't that what it is?
I think so, yeah. And that one just got created like recently. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I remember seeing I think it was an ad for it wasn't really an ad for it, but
Mhm.
I saw something on like maybe the BSU app or
Yeah,
Instagram for it, and that was really it. I don't really I do hear more about the other sororities than the one that's all people of color.
right.
And I totally understood what you said by that. They don't really get the same they don't get the same I don't want to say publicity, but they don't get the same uh well, I would say
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah, yeah,
that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Isn't I heard a rumor that they're gonna create an all black fraternity, an all person of color fraternity?
I've been hearing that rumor too. I don't know how it's gonna go down. I know that I know this year they're taking a lot of initiatives. I know you read what the president sent out in that email, and I think he had said that like 2020 to 2021 academic year will be dedicated to like the issues of race within the school or something like that. So I think they're gonna be doing a lot, or at least I hope they're gonna be doing a lot to kind of I don't know like fix some of these issues, but if so, I could definitely see there being a black fraternity coming up pretty soon. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Would you show any interest in joining a black fraternity?
Um, yeah, Yeah,
You would?
I don't see why not, for sure, for sure. I mean, I feel like they're definitely good for connections. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any reason why I wouldn't want to do it. So yeah.
That's fair. That I thought that was cool. I heard,
Yeah.
I forget who told me that, but I think it was Nate. You know, Nate, Hispanic Nate. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
I think he told me that that they were doing that, and I was like, oh, really? That's awesome.
Right, right.
I do think that a lot more places as after this
Mhm.
are definitely going to focus on the race issue.
Yeah.
Uh, Not just colleges, but other schools, other places of work,
Hmm.
and it's really going to be an interesting time after all of this is over. We still haven't fully recovered from COVID being over,
Yeah.
and we have to recover from this now.
Yeah.
I think our world is going to be insanely changing
No, for
the
sure.
next couple of
For
years.
sure.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But it's good that this is all happening now. It's I it really shines a big light on this problem that we have
Yeah.
the U.S.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was amazing that there are other countries out there.
I know. I was just about to mention that. Yeah. 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 I think they did a protest in was it Sweden? I know they did a protest in some country for Black Lives Matter, and I had read the post under it, and they said like that's how you know it's serious if other countries are even talking about it now. And it's like, yeah, so I don't know. I love seeing that too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, yeah. This movement has gone global. It's way bigger than it ever was.
Mm.
Uh, Now I know you are. I only know this because of rooming with you and
Mm.
seeing all your like Snapchat and Instagram stories. I know
Mm.
you're a big active. You're a big pro Black community guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
for
and
sure. Love it.
me and Kenya applaud it. We love it. We absolutely love it
Right.
because you are literally just you post about it all the time. You're someone who didn't hop on. You're someone
Yeah,
who was there from day one.
right.
And I remember I was talking about this with Kenya, that if people listen to some, because I know you like Nipsey Hussle.
Oh yeah, love.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
he was someone who would be perfect right now.
yeah,
Um, he spread nothing but love in the community. It was insane.
yeah. I was actually I thought about that not too long ago too. I feel like there are definitely. I think him, Pac. If Pac was still around, I think that'd make a big difference too. But
Yeah,
for sure, I know that like if Nipsey was here right now, like he'd probably be able to find the right words to really get us to like unite and like on the track to whatever it is that we need to accomplish. And I don't know, it's definitely sad like when I think about it, but I don't know. I feel like his words and his music, give a lot of inspiration. So for
yeah.
sure, for sure.
He. I know. I was looking at because I don't know. There's not a lot of black owned businesses around me.
Mhm.
Because the Cape is very predominantly white,
Right.
and I was looking online for some black businesses to support.
Hmm.
And there was one that I came across I didn't even think of, and that's Nipsey Hussle's clothing, the Marathon clothing.
Yeah.
That's a black owned business, and
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I couldn't believe that there was one right under my nose, and I didn't even think about it.
Right.
But I think you mentioned that you mentioned it earlier, supporting black businesses. It
Yeah.
is important right now to do that. It really shows that you do care about the community.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
one thing I noticed a lot of when I looked it up was that there was a lot of skin and hair products.
Yeah.
Um, I know
Yeah.
you have a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, if my camera was on right now, you'd see it. But I have like a whole ton load of like hair products, and you gotta keep yourself right if you're gonna be here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're big on the beauty supplies and all that type of stuff.
Isn't isn't uh black people's hair more fragile than other people? Is that true? I don't know. I feel like I've heard that.
I don't know if I say fragile, but we have like various types of like hair textures. I really can't speak too much on that because I'm not like a professional with it, but I know there's like actually I won't even try to say it because I'll probably end up embarrassing myself. But it's definitely there's definitely a lot of different things you can do with it. It's just it comes with a lot of work. There's just a lot of work that goes into it, especially if you want to go natural. Like there's a lot of steps and things you have to do. So it requires a like some dedication if you're really trying to get it right. So
Have you did you see the thing about the police officer? It wasn't about a black man, but it was just about the riot police. That they shoved, that old man guy that got pushed.
I heard about that. I haven't like been able to read up on it, but I did hear.
He so I was scrolling through Instagram really late at night, and
Yeah.
I saw it happen. I saw the video posted,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just this old white man.
Mm-hmm.
He walked up to the police, and it looked like he was asking them a question, or he was trying to
Yeah.
conversate with them, and they immediately just push him. The original police, what was it, report that they put was that he, I think it was like he initiated some kind of like force. I think that's what
Right.
it was.
Right.
But that's just an example of police using force where it's not needed to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And
yeah. You go.
no, I was gonna say that like it's like so sad. But I don't know, I'm kind of just tired of always saying it's so sad because it's like you see it happen so many times. Even with like incidents like this that blow up, like with George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, it's like you only really hear about it majority of times if there's a video, right? But
Yeah.
there's tons of times that things like this happen. There are no videos or no one reported it or, it gets swept by the sun and you're like, you you think that what you're seeing is only what's happening, but it happens a lot more often than we think. And I don't know. It's just I feel like we definitely need to do something about it. Um, I think what we're doing right now helps, but we need to there needs to be more steps and more action that's being done. But
Did you hear about no, I'm pretty sure you heard about most of the people that a lot of people are posting about. I've seen a lot of names come up recently that people are saying, these are just some of the names that of people that had died at the
yeah.
hands of some police officers. And I saw like Tamir Rice come up. I don't know if you remember when that originally
Mm-hmm.
happened. I do. I remember that. I thought that was crazy, and I think it's insane now that some people are just hearing about these people's names.
Yeah.
It took this long to finally,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's sad. Even with the Tamir Rice situation, I think about that like a lot. It's like I don't know. We can't even just like exist sometimes. Like a lot of the things that other people just do, and that's just a part of their like childhoods.
mm-hmm.
We get killed for it, and it's just I don't know. It's hard being here and seeing that and knowing that. I know the one that's been on my mind a lot is just with Breonna Taylor because I think about the fact that she was literally just like sleeping, and not only was she sleeping, she hadn't committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
The situation had literally nothing to do with her, but yet still she gets killed, and it's just like when you hear stuff like that, it's hard to be hopeful. It's hard to kind of look at the best, and that's kind of when you hear the sentiments like "f the police" and all that stuff because it's like
Yeah.
how does that even happen? But you know that's what we're dealing with. So
Yeah, that's what's happening right now. Here, this is the can you see my screen?
yeah, I can.
Okay, so this is the video of the old man that I was talking about. So see, he just walks up. He's not being, he hasn't touched one of them. They push him, and then look. If you look closely at his ear, you can see blood dripping on the ground right there. He immediately starts bleeding. Obviously that's an internal bleeding in his head right there.
Mm. Oh,
And they said to just leave him there. I heard them. I was listening to the video when I first
yeah,
came out, and they were just like, just leave him be. Like, well, we called EMTs and everything, and they're coming to help. But that man didn't do anything to, obviously he did trip and fall, but they shouldn't have pushed him. An older person doesn't have the best balance in the world,
exactly.
and that was just a show of force that was not needed.
Yeah.
I also did see a video on Instagram a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought it showed, how definitely how police treat some people that are white differently. It was a video of some guy who was throwing fists with a police officer, like
Hmm.
literally on the sidewalk, and he was
Hmm.
white. And the caption was, "Imagine being able to
Right,
throw fists with a police
right,
officer."
right, right. It's oh my God, that's crazy. I don't know. I've seen so many of those like side by side videos where there was one video I saw with someone who had he had an axe and like a legit axe and was waving it around. He was
Yeah.
acting sporadically, doing all that stuff, and then right beside it, there's a video of this guy with his hands up, turned around, and he gets kicked in his back, and then they start beating on him, and I'm just like, wow, that's just crazy to me. But I don't know how stuff like that happens.
Now, yeah, I don't either. That's it's crazy. They just I don't know what's going on through their heads when they do that stuff. I don't know why they do it. Obviously some of those people are full. They have hate in their heart
Yeah,
and need it to be driven out.
yeah.
But I still don't understand why they would do it. You can have hate in your heart, but it doesn't mean you have to take it out on them like that. It's yeah, I don't know. Have you I know you don't have to answer this question.
Mhm.
It's but because I just want to know if you've ever experienced any prejudice or racism in your life, because you have a unique perspective on this compared to me.
Um, I don't know. Thinking back, I feel like there were definitely a lot of subtle things. Um, that's the weird thing about racism. Like, it's not always in your face, kind of like them using the N word or whatever. Like, it's not majority of times if you're not surrounded by people who like are truly like that, you're not gonna see that. But there's definitely a lot of like little things that you might see. Like it might be as simple as someone just, and this isn't necessarily racism, but it's like a byproduct of it, right? So it might be something as simple as someone sees you and they
Mhm.
kind of just assume that you do certain things or you're a certain type of way.
Yeah.
I know like in high school, um, I'm trying to think back. I think there was either a coach or maybe a parent, and I don't know, like before they even found out anything about me, they were like, "What position do you play?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "What position are you on the team?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
like I was completely confused because I'm like, at that point I wasn't playing sports or anything, so I was just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just it's things like that that kind of like remind you that, oh right, I live in America and I'm black, so of course they're gonna think these things about me.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, like there's definitely been other things, but I feel like my mind just kind of blocks a lot of it.
Mhm.
Not because like it's not important, but just because it happens, it's just there, and it's so much a part of our realities that we don't even pay attention to it.
Mhm.
Um, I know like even I have friends that grew up in way rougher situations than me, and if they tell you their stories, you might hear it and be like, I can't believe you went through that, but like to them that's just another day in their life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to kind of like really pinpoint situations, but I know there's definitely been tons, and it's just something that we kind of go through.
Yeah. I was watching a video on I think it was on Instagram. I think it was last night or two. Yeah, it was last night, and they were asking NBA players when the first time they experienced racism was, and the first one um was Mike Conley, point guard for the Utah Jazz. He's a big activist in the community when it comes to that type of stuff. And he said it was probably in, I think, high school he experienced it. He got called the N word a couple times.
Yeah,
And that that shouldn't be allowed at all. So no one should be subject to that. Going to try to get an education. No one should be subject to being called a racial slur.
yeah,
Um, and there's a lot. I think now. I've said this before to a lot of people, but I think now a lot of people are showing where their morals are and where
yeah.
they stand on. They're really showing their true colors. I thought that before with the election, 4 years ago, but this now more than ever, I think people are really showing their true colors.
Oh, that's for certain. That's for certain. For certain. I had a conversation recently about the exact same thing, and I don't know. I'm like in between in how I feel about it,
Mm-hmm.
because on one hand I'm like extremely happy to see it happening, because I'm like, okay, bet now I know where you stand, what you think, like you know what I'm saying, because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of times people have these thoughts and they keep it to themselves, and like it just harbors more hatred, or like you're friends with them and you talk to them and then behind closed doors they're, you know what I'm saying, they're doing all these different things, and it's
Yeah.
like it's nice to know that, okay, that's where you stand, that's what you do, bet like I know how to move now because of that. But it's also sad because it's like, dang, so you guys have thought like this the whole time and no one knew, and so it's challenging. But I think that's going to become more of a reality, and we're going to definitely see the consequences of that come pretty soon as like people start being around each other a little bit more and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So
I talked to one of my black friends here, and you know, she's lost they lost some Instagram followers
yeah,
because of the stuff she's posting, and
yeah,
I think that's sad. That she's just standing up for for her culture, for her
yeah,
people that look like her. There's nothing wrong with that. They would do the same thing if they were in the same situation.
right,
Um, and yeah, I do think it's sad. It makes me upset when people. I've lost some followers.
yeah,
I lost a couple, and I was like, all right, whatever. But a lot of people, really are. I think I said right now, I think it's better if you tell me your stance, regardless
yeah,
of what it is,
yeah,
than being silent.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, because then where that person stands. It's like, all right, you're speaking your mind. I respect it.
Right,
I may not agree with it, but I respect
right,
it.
exactly, exactly. I think that's a big thing. Like just being able to have that type of respect for someone. I think that's the most important thing. I know that I have a friend who he's an international student. So he's Asian, he's an international student. He doesn't really know much about the like racial like situations that happen in America,
Hmm.
right? So he wasn't accustomed to it, but we've been friends since high school, and he posted something on his Snapchat that really like touched me, just because it was just really nice to see that there are people like that. He basically had broken down the situation of like when he heard about the George Floyd situation and heard people saying, another unarmed black man being killed. What his initial thoughts was like another grown man, like a grown man was killed. Like
Hmm.
that's what he initially thought. But he said he
Okay.
had conversations with black friends who from the beginning had always embraced him. And, he kind of just explained how the community he saw was not the community that was being kind of like being plastered all over the media and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
how just having conversations and trying to understand other people's experience is probably the best way to gain any type of knowledge about this situation. Right. So instead of just coming in with your biases or your assumptions, like just having a conversation with someone, like just like me and you are having right now, just sitting down, saying how you feel, even if that's not necessarily the right thing, even if you don't have all the knowledge of it, just talking about it, like that can help, especially with like individuals. So
Talking about it is very important right now. I know a lot of people are sitting down and having these tough conversations with
yeah,
their children, and even children having conversations with their parents. Do you see that
right,
video? There's a video circulating of she's a white girl and she's yelling at her dad, explaining why Black Lives Matter right now,
right.
and he's arguing with her. I don't know if you've seen it. I've
No,
seen it.
I don't think so. No.
They like just came out like a day ago. But that's something powerful. Even a kid trying to educate
Right,
their grown parent
right,
about this situation.
right,
I know I've had my mom and my aunt are accepting of everything.
mhm,
They if you're gay, if you're black, whatever,
right,
they don't care.
yeah,
You're a person.
yeah,
If there's no reason, if you're not like if you cross them badly, if you don't
yeah,
do anything bad to them, they're not. But this is especially something for my mom, I think, and my aunt,
mhm,
because I'm obviously affected, still, maybe not
yeah.
to the same extent, but I'm still
No, for
affected.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
And that's one thing that I really liked about having you as my as my roommate. I saw, it was you, because I was like, we had another roommate who was
Yeah,
white.
yeah,
and I met him at orientation. He was cool. He's still cool. I talk to him every now and then.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really good experience for me to be able to have conversations and be close with someone of a person of color, especially my first year of college, after living here and seeing, barely any Black people at the school I went to.
Right. Yeah, it helps. It helps for sure.
Yes, it does help. Especially because I definitely saw that you were still active in fighting for against prejudice. I thought that that really touched me, because I was like, oh wow, there's someone here who is doing what I was doing a couple years ago, but this person obviously has not given up on the fight, which is awesome.
Right.
And
sorry,
no, you go. I on a complete thought.
I was just gonna say that it's a never-ending fight. I'm hoping one day that we won't have to fight it anymore, but it's definitely not something that we can just like do for a little bit and then stop, because that's when you hear, the next hashtag or the next situation happens, and it's the problems are too ingrained within our society for us to kind of just give up on it, or just think that, one victory means that we're all set. Like it's something you gotta do every day, because I'm black. I'm gonna be a Black man every day of my life.
Yep.
Like, that's who I am. So I have to like support my people and talk about these issues, because it doesn't change for me.
Of course. I have the utmost respect for everyone in the Black community. Every time I go to New York, I want to go to like historically Black neighborhoods and stuff like that, because the culture behind it is so interesting and intriguing. When I went to Harlem, I went to a soul food place, some of the best food I've ever had. I had I think I had chicken and ribs with the cornbread. Oh, it was so good. But and then I wanted to go to the Apollo Theater. I don't know if you know much about the Apollo Theater.
Yeah.
But that's that's a historically
historically Black site, right, with a lot of musicians and artists, and
exactly.
Part of the Black community.
Exactly. I bought when I went to New York, I went on Martin Luther. What was it? No, it was Malcolm X. It was Malcolm X Boulevard.
Right.
Because at that time he meant a lot to me. I still love Malcolm. I still love Malcolm X.
Yeah.
He's someone who I admired on the stance he took. I talked about this. I said MLK did peaceful organized protests.
Yeah.
And Malcolm he didn't he didn't think they were as effective, so he wanted to take a more forceful stance, but in an organized way. He wanted to get a group of brothers, is what he called them,
right.
And use their voices loud and clear. And I admire that. I admire the hell out of that.
Yeah. No, I can speaking from personal experience, like when I was younger, just learning in school and stuff, like Martin Luther King was always kind of the one that came up the most. I could get into that too, but I think that's just because of the way that he kind of went about gaining our rights and stuff. Like, it was definitely more convenient, but I mean, that's still someone I respect a lot too. But Malcolm X is for sure like my idol in some sense, because he was also someone who never really preached violence. Like, it wasn't about being violent. It was always just about defending yourself and understanding your identity, and understanding that you're no less human or no less, deserving of the rights as the person next to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I respected him. Like, he never made it a bad thing to be Black, or he kind of told you that, like, you being Black is that's still a good thing. Like, be proud of yourself, be proud of your heritage, be proud of where you came from, and don't let anyone like take that away from you. You know what I mean? And he was always just about the people and about making sure that changes happen, as he said, by any means necessary. So that's definitely a big idol for me too.
Yeah, he's I've listened to some of his speeches. I don't know if you have. I'm assuming you probably have.
Yeah.
And he gives some really powerful. I forget what one was called. It was called it was like Bullet or the
The Ballad or the Bullet.
yes, Ballad of yes, that's like one of his most famous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
listened to that on a car ride to school one time because I really wanted to understand what he meant. And
Yeah.
yeah, I recommend people listen to it.
For sure.
Do you are you familiar with Nat Turner?
Yes.
Okay,
And
he's,
his yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not stumping you at
Yeah.
all. Um,
Yeah.
did you watch the movie about him that came out a couple years ago?
Um, I think so. I
It's
think
called.
maybe I only watched some of it, but I know like the whole story of how he started the rebellion. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think he was probably the closest like slave rebellion to have ever like almost succeeded.
But
The only like successful one in history was the Haitian Revolution, but that was like maybe the second closest.
he no, he's one person that I think you could say is pretty relevant
Yeah.
when you're talking about today, because a lot of people are saying, all the senseless, violence and
Right.
looting and breaking property, and it's like, well, Nat Turner did he caused a lot of they killed white people, but they were slave owners. He killed slave owners, their families,
Right.
because they were he was so sick and tired of living that way, of being a slave, that it was the only way. It was literally the only way they could get their message across at that time, because he couldn't have done anything else. He couldn't have peacefully protested, or else he would have been whipped. But
Right.
this man wanted to die. He wanted to die for his freedom, and he did. And he's someone who, it's amazing to think about now what he did back then,
Yeah.
um, and relevance to now.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think the circumstances have changed, but the struggle is the same.
Yes.
They were fighting for freedom back then, and we're still fighting for freedom now, right? So it just looks different. Because back then it was, you had literal chains on, you couldn't do anything, you were literally owned by someone else, right? So there were no peaceful protests, there were no axing, like no one's gonna just give you your freedom like that. So he had to fight, like that was really the only option. Now we have a few other options, but I don't know, like you can just look at history and kind of see where we're at.
Yeah.
Um, Even with using those options. And again, I'm not like someone who's gonna say go out, get arms, and like start burning stuff down,
Yeah.
because that doesn't
Yeah.
that's not gonna necessarily help anything. But I'm
Mhm.
also not someone who's gonna look at someone who's doing that and tell them that they're doing the wrong thing, because I understand why they're doing it. I understand where it's coming from. But I think we just need to get more organized and like start making like real strategies and just like like exactly as you had mentioned before, like organization. You have the Black Panther Party, who I see have been like making a little bit of a rise back again, and I feel
Mhm.
like stuff like that definitely helped a lot. And I would love to kind of see more of that happen too, because I feel like that's what's gonna really, really kind of get things into check and into place, and things are gonna actually start happening once we see stuff like that.
Yeah. Groups like that are important.
Yeah.
People can say they're radical, they can say whatever they want, but they're important. Um, I've seen. Have you? I watched this. I watched this TV show on
Mhm.
Vice. It's called Hate Thy Neighbor. But it's about this black guy from England who comes over to the U.S. to learn about um, the issue we have with people that are not white. He talks about border control. He talks about racism. He talks about the police. He talks about white supremacists.
Mhm.
And I watched the second episode first because I thought it was really interesting. I didn't know. I probably, if I thought about it, I probably would have known.
Mhm.
But I didn't know that there were black supremacists.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that. I was learning about what they believe in. They believe that they all are descendants of the 12 tribes of, I think it's Jerusalem or something. Um, but what they believe is really, what they believe is really extreme. I don't know if anyone out there believes what they do, but they believe that Jesus. This is one thing they believe, that Jesus is going to come back,
Mhm.
and his mission is to actually enslave all the white people, enslave and kill all the white people because of what they did
Yeah.
to black people during slavery.
I don't know about that. I can't really speak too much on that. I
I
haven't.
can't either.
Yeah, I haven't been in that realm of I don't know. Like that's completely unfamiliar to me. I
Yeah,
have
I
heard
know.
the 12 tribes thing before in other like
Mhm.
spaces, but I haven't heard anything about like a day of reckoning like that. Like that's something completely different to me. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's just a fear that does exist though, that people, and not even just with Black Lives Matter and like our movement. I think in a
Mhm.
lot of situations where people are being oppressed, the people who might be doing the oppressing, you know, and personally, I just feel like they think that if the oppressed people get power, that they're gonna somehow flip the situation and do it back to them. But it's like we're just fighting for equal rights. Like we just want to be treated like human beings. It has nothing to do with me being better than you or anything like that. Like that's literally what we're fighting against. So um, that those types of things don't really like connect with me at all.
Yeah, I think that's an extreme way of thinking, me personally. That situation, that specific way of thinking that Jesus is gonna come back and when he does, he's gonna kill and enslave all the white people.
Right.
That's why they're called black supremacists. You know, it's you know how white people say that, you know, black people are the devil, you know, they're nothing. You know, they want to kill them. You know, people like the KKK and stuff like that. Um, but this is black people who believe that all white people who are who they said not all white people, but they said white people who are racist.
Mm,
Those are the ones that they hate. They said the white people that are racist is the ones that they hate and they think should be killed. I think that's really extreme, you know, being killed. Um, but I do think that people who are racist should be they should be educated.
yeah.
They definitely should be educated, and they should really open their minds and their hearts to listen to what people of color have to say.
Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays just, you know, they hear one thing on the news or they hear one source of information. They're like, that's it. That's what I want. That's what I like.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they're not open to hearing more things.
Exactly.
Um, I do think right now a lot of people should listen up, you know, not just go with Fox News or
Oh
CNN or,
no, for
you know,
sure. Yeah, I think research, and forming your own opinions is probably the most important thing to do right now.
mhm.
We definitely need to take the time to really look at the roots of situations, look at where the history of situations, and because me being a sociology major, like I love kind of understanding the different aspects that kind of make up our thought processes and like
Mhm.
why we do the things that we do. And I think people need to look at that because there's always a reasoning behind it, right? And even with racism, I personally view that as like a disease of the mind. And I think exactly like what you said, we need rehabilitation. Like I don't think it's enough to just fire people or look at them as bad when they do like racist things. We need to actually try to like educate them, because
Yeah.
if not, then they have kids, they pass those beliefs down to their kids, and like the cycle just continues. So we definitely need to like really try to be more, I don't know what the word is, proactive, I guess, with
Yeah.
stuff like this.
Yeah, a lot of people feel the same way, the way that you described it, as
Yeah.
the prison system. They
Yeah.
think that, you know, it doesn't, you know, they don't learn anything really when they come out. A lot of people, you know, don't, you know, they'll serve their time and that's it. But a lot of people think that we should spend more money instead of putting these people in prison and keeping them there. We
Mm.
should spend more money on educating them on why they shouldn't do this or why, you know, they should change their lives around. Kind of like, you know, like an Alcoholics Anonymous or a
Yeah.
12-step program type thing
Yeah.
to help get them on a right path.
Right.
Mental health is definitely something that a lot of people, you know, that needs to be addressed when it comes to
Oh,
something like this too.
for sure, for sure, for sure. It's a huge part. Um, I don't know. Speaking specifically towards the, I guess I don't really know how to explain it, but like I guess the black aspect of it, mental health is it's an extremely important part of it, because there's a lot of physical abuses, there's a lot of things that happen just in the world around us, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of things going on in our minds too, right? So even being on social media and seeing all these stories and hearing all these things, like it has an effect on you. And it's not like it's just started happening, it's always been happening. You read about it, me being a kid, like even just learning about slavery, like as a Black person, I can't speak for my entire race, but I know that for me, that's something that it hurts. Like just hearing about that, just hearing stories about that, it hurts, and it's like that sticks with you. That sticks with you. We definitely need to like focus a lot on the mental health aspect of it, just in general, and definitely with us too. I think that's definitely something that needs to be a part of the whatever processes that we decide to implicate. So,
Yeah, definitely. I was I wrote for one of my finals, or no, yeah, for one of my finals I talked about how schools teach about slavery and that type of stuff. Um,
yeah.
Mainly focused on slaves in the U.S., slavery in the U.S., and how Native Americans were treated by like Columbus and his men.
Mhm.
And I found out some interesting things. There was there was one, it was a college student, a professor, um, was teaching about slavery,
Mhm.
in this was school in Alabama,
Yeah.
and the student was like, why are we learning about slavery when it never happened, where we are? And he was like, and the teacher was like, wow, like Alabama is one of the most, they were a big part of the Civil War and the cotton production that happened.
Yeah.
The South. Obviously, everyone knows it was the North versus the South in the Civil War. But it astounded me how some people go about teaching this. I remember I was reading an article about a teacher who would have their students write from the perspective of a runaway slave, which I don't think, it wasn't meant to be good. I don't think it's fair to put kids in that, not that to put kids in that situation, but you shouldn't put a kid, writing a fantasy about something they don't know about, like writing from the perspective of a runaway slave. That's hard. And kids aren't going to treat that with,
It's hard. Yeah.
yeah, there was something else. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, it was an absurd number. I don't remember the article. It was a creditable source, but they said it was in the South specifically. It was like more than 50% of people didn't know that the Civil War was about slavery or something like
Yeah.
that. And
It's
that's
crazy.
crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. Even in my middle school, I remember my history teacher. When he had first said it, I was like confused, but when he kind of had broke down the entire like Civil War, like that's kind of the part that we had gone to in the course. And when he broke it down, he made sure to tell us that no matter what, no matter what schools we go to, colleges, wherever we end up in life, like don't ever let someone tell you that the Civil War wasn't about slavery. Like whatever history teachers tell you that don't know what they're talking about.
Hmm.
And at the point, like when he said that, I was like, okay. Like I was young. I hadn't
Yeah.
really fully gotten into like, the movement the way that I am now. So it never really clicked with me. I was never really understanding why people would even say it wasn't about slavery. But as you get older and you start meeting more people and you start hearing more opinions, you're like, wow. So there's like actually people who didn't know this, and it's like, damn, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. You just assume most people know that,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't. Have you seen the thing about Drew Brees in the news?
No, I don't think so.
Saints quarterback, white man, NFL, and he's loved. He's loved by many people. He's a great guy,
Yeah.
but he didn't come about this whole movement the right way. He said something about how he doesn't like when people kneel for the flag, for the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were grilling him. A lot
Yeah.
of teammates, a lot of people in sports, in the sports world, were coming at him.
Yeah.
And he definitely did not say. He definitely shouldn't have said that in this moment. He didn't word it. He didn't word it very well, but he said he just wanted to put out a statement because it's how he felt.
Right.
And then he apologized to everyone, because he's and then he said, oh, Black Lives Matter, and they
Mm.
do. I know he knows that. He's a great guy, but I think the reason he said that is because he has pride in his country. But I personally don't care if people kneel for the national anthem or not. It's they're not protesting. They're not protesting the people who are in the Middle East fighting for our country. They're protesting what's happening here.
Right. And I think that's another big. I don't know. That's something that irritates me a lot about like when I hear stuff like that, because I do understand like pride for your country and love for your country. Like, you know what I mean? Like I get that. I'm not gonna sit here and try to argue with that.
Yeah.
However, the problem that I have the most is just the fact that it even became about kneeling. Like kneeling was never that was something we did, or that's something that Colin Kaepernick did.
Yeah.
To represent the fact that there are like injustices happening against us, right? So like it's annoying to see that that's what became the main issue, and not the fact of the injustices. It's like it became more about the kneeling than the fact that Black lives are at stake. And I don't know, that type of thinking just pisses me off. That's why I don't really have too many conversations with like people who say stuff like that, because I get it, but at the same time, it just shows me that you're lacking in a lot of like knowledge and just experience with the type of stuff that we go through. So
yeah, did you see that this one that I posted on my Instagram story yesterday? It really, or 2 days ago, it really got to me. It was oh my god, it made me want to I got so mad looking at it. It was about it was a woman on Fox News. I forget her name. We were talking about her the other day.
Yeah.
But it showed the difference with how she treated LeBron James's approach to it. I don't know if you watched it, or how Drew Brees approached it. So the way I'll explain it, because I don't know if have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'll explain it real quick. So LeBron James, he's a big activist, when it comes to this stuff. Rightfully so. He's a great man for the community as well.
Yeah. I know about it.
And he was putting out all these statements, like, oh, Black Lives Matter and all this. And what pissed me off was she, you could tell she meant it. She was like, she said, you shouldn't be talking about this when you get paid all this money to go dribble a ball. So, and then at the end of the thing, she said, just shut up and dribble. And, and then then they showed the video of how she addressed Drew Brees, and she said, well, he's a man and he's expressing his opinion. He's using his platform to express his opinion.
Right.
And she's like, he shouldn't be crucified for it. And it just really upsets me how she told LeBron James to shut up and dribble when he is just a man standing up for his community.
Right.
And it's, he's more than an athlete. He's an icon to people.
Yeah.
He's a role model. And these people look up to someone like him, and they could be he can be a factor in someone wanting to join a part of this revolution.
Yeah.
I just thought that was awful how she treated the two very differently because of who they are and, what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, you see that a lot in today's media, like too much, to be honest. I could even point out other situations similar to that. Like even I remember, I think it was when Nipsey died, how like what they chose to represent him. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but like they brought up the F Donald Trump video that he did with YG.
Yeah.
And, like you use that, it's like it's just so. I feel like that just appeals to like the lowest common denominator in like all human beings when you like really try to dirty a person's character simply because you don't believe in what they're saying, or whatever the reason might be. Maybe it's ratings for their audiences, because we also have to think about who it is that's watching these people.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's really sad to see. It's kind of disgusting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree.
I don't know. It's tragic. It's tragic that people really have to do that, and that they really say these things.
Yeah, I did. When you mentioned that, that Donald Trump thing, that song.
Yeah.
I remember that first came out. I was bumping it because it was catchy. I liked it.
Right.
I agreed with it. I loved YG.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the second one?
Wait, is that the one where they redacted a lot of what they said?
It was with G-Eazy and Macklemore.
Oh no, no, no. I don't think I have.
No, that's a good one too. It's pretty good. But I remember when Nipsey died, I posted pictures of him,
Hmm.
and I was like, yo, they hated on you and YG when you released fuck Donald Trump,
Hmm.
and I was like, and it's like, I did see people bringing that up after he died, and it's like, come on, like he was
Right.
speaking up for something that was close to him because he
Yeah.
grew up in a tough neighborhood,
Yeah.
and he was someone who really made it out the dirt. That's why a lot of people loved him. He was someone who also gave back a
Yeah.
lot.
He was a man of his word. Like
Was.
everything he said, he did. You can look at his earliest interviews, the type of mindset that he had. He kept it, developed it, grew. Like that's why I respect him personally. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just also sad to see that they do that once they're gone.
Hmm.
Like they tend to trash their characters once they're gone. And I'm like, why? I don't know. I just wish people would keep the same energy at all times. Like don't just change
Yeah.
now because like the opportunity is there and it's convenient.
I think that I think a lot of people that's well my one of my first reactions to this whole movement was a lot of people that I hadn't seen posting about it before
Hmm.
starting to post about it, and I know a lot of people have been having a discussion about people hopping on the trend of Black Lives Matter
Oh
because
yeah,
it's what everyone's doing.
right.
Um, and I do think there are people out there that are doing it.
Oh,
Uh,
for
no,
certain.
no doubt about it. I feel it. Yeah, I feel strongly about people showing fake love for that, and it's like you just want people to like you. Macklemore, he said in one of his songs, "Are you marching for freedom or when it's convenient?"
Right,
And obviously, it's basically, do you really care, or are you doing it because everyone else is doing it?
right, right.
And that's a white man that said that.
I know, I know. It's really interesting because you see it at like all aspects. You see it in the Black community. I've seen it in other communities. Like I don't know. It's just weird because at one I can see where someone might say, well, help is help or support is support, regardless of whatever the reason, right? But like I can't really get behind that because it's like if you're not if your heart's not in it, why are you doing
Yeah,
it?
no, exactly.
So that's definitely something that I think is a big challenge. I know that people have been using it as photo shoots too, like and
Oh,
like, you know what I mean. It's like that
yeah.
type of stuff just gets to me.
I
It's
saw a
like
video. You see a video of a woman doing it
yeah,
on the street?
yes, yeah, yeah. I
She
did.
had like a dress on, and she went in the street and was like, "All right, take my picture." And she had
Oh
some.
wow, no, I saw a different.
Oh, you saw a different one? Oh, I'm
I saw a
talking about
different one.
that.
Yeah,
No,
wow, that's crazy.
there's some white girl it was a nice dress. She looked like she was
Yeah,
going out to a nice dinner, and she
yeah.
had a Black Lives Matter thing
Wow.
sign, and she had her friend. She went off the sidewalk, stood in the middle of the street, had the
Yeah.
picture taken.
Wow. That's
I know it's
crazy.
it's something. What do you think about people in specifically white people that are in a mainly um, uh, black dominated profession, such as the NBA or like rap
Mhm.
music?
Yeah.
Um, I do you think it's important for them to speak out about this in support of the Black Lives Matter movement? I do personally.
Yeah. Um. Personally, I'm really just I'm the type of dude that's gonna tell you to do whatever is real for you, right?
Hmm.
So like I'd rather whatever you do be genuine,
Hmm.
but I do think that like if you're gonna occupy a space that other people have created and have put blood, sweat, and tears into, like you can't like reap the benefits from it and not try to help out when you see these people like their freedoms being taken from them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I definitely think it's something that they need to say, but I just don't want the fake sentiments. Like I don't want someone who's
Yeah.
gonna say Black Lives Matter just so that they can get, these groups, their audience back on their side and then they can continue going about their life like nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just want it to be real. But besides that, I do think they need to at least reflect and understand like what they're a part of.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't even think about it that way. About celebrities. I know Machine Gun Kelly's gone out with
Yeah.
protests, and I know he's someone who very much admires the black the community that helped create the genre of music that he
Yeah.
is excelling at. his favorite rapper is DMX.
Oh, I
Um,
can see that. Yeah.
and DMX, and Bone Thugs and Harmony. Those are I think those are his two favorite rappers.
Right.
Two, or rap group too. I saw, I saw. I think G-Eazy was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys, I know those guys definitely respect the culture
Yeah.
that they're in. Same with Eminem. Eminem does a lot. He does a lot for the people of Detroit that are mainly people of color.
Yeah.
And he definitely respects the hell out of rap music and what it's given him.
I know Eminem for sure is definitely one of them. He was around like, back with like, he was hanging with like Dr. Dre and Snoop and all that. So I'm like, there's really no way that you could be, accounted for.
Yeah,
He was always kind of about it too.
Yeah, he's
Sure.
a black man gave him a chance, and now people regard him as one of the greatest rappers ever.
Yeah.
It's insane, and I know that there's a lot of people out there. There's people that I know personally who have been take a lot from the culture, from Black culture, whether it's music or clothes or whatever they like.
Right.
But I don't see them standing up for it right now. I've seen, they've either been silent or they've stood their ground and be like, nope, this is what's right. And not, I'm not really going to support the movement because of what's happening. And, I do think, that I don't think that's really okay to do. I think you definitely should show some respect for what you are taking as, or you were trying to make part of your own life that someone worked hard for.
Exactly. And it's interesting to me because, in a lot of these like rap musics or, hip hop in general, like a lot of it speaks towards the struggle or whatever we're going through, right? So it's like certain genres, I can't speak for all aspects of hip hop, but I know for certain genres, it's like poetry about our daily experiences and our daily lives, right? And so a lot of the times you hear about the struggles that we go through, right? You hear about like things that happen in the hood or whatever the situation might be. And it's like, how can you listen to that and then not show support? Because it's like the same music that you're listening to, that's the same problems that we're talking about. So it's like, think you could relate or, be down for that you could be down for this too. But I don't know. It's like a disconnect, I guess.
No, I don't know. I don't know where that disconnect comes from. I don't know why it's there, but yeah, it's definitely there. That's actually a really good point to bring up. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, there is a disconnect. I do think a lot of people, there's a lot of Trump supporters out there who, will love, they'll listen to Travis Scott, they'll listen to Lil Uzi, they'll listen to Playboy Cardi, they'll listen to all these rappers. But then at the end of the day, they'll stick by a man who helps a system that keeps people that look like them from succeeding, and from helping them gain knowledge, whether it's in help supporting their schools or help supporting their neighborhoods.
Right.
They still, at the end of the day, support a man who isn't there for those people, really.
Right. Yeah.
It's sad.
It is sad. I don't know. It's going back to my point from earlier, like of the circumstances being the only thing that's really different. This might be a little bit of an extreme, but just looking throughout history, like Black people specifically, like I can't speak for anyone else, but I can't really speak for Black people either, but I can say that I've definitely seen, instances where, and not even just instances, like this happens all the time, where the things that we do, it benefits, but then we either don't get credit for it or we don't really get shown any love for it. And it's like, I don't really want to say America, but at the same time, honestly, America has been reaping a lot of benefits from Black people for centuries now, and we always kind of get left by the wayside because of it. But I don't know, it's a struggle. It's a really big struggle that we definitely need to, like, something needs to happen. I don't have all the answers about it, but obviously something needs to change.
Yeah, something needs to change. I know a lot of people. Did you see J. Cole was out protesting?
No, I didn't see that actually. I was looking out for it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, he's I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah, yeah, right.
He's a man that is definitely for the people.
Yeah.
I would elect him president. I would elect him president.
J. Cole for president 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people were getting mad at Kendrick specifically because they said he wasn't saying anything about what's going on. And
Yeah.
I will attest to this day that his album To Pimp a Butterfly is the best rap album I've ever heard, hip hop album I've ever heard.
For certain. I
And
keep like, sorry, go ahead. My bad.
no, you're fine. But what I was saying was that a lot of people at that time didn't want to listen to it.
Right.
I think who was popping off was probably like Kanye and Drake at that time, and they didn't talk about that. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, Kendrick is boring. I don't want to listen to." He has elements of jazz in his music. He has all these different genres put into one album. That's a masterpiece.
Right.
But people didn't want to listen back then because they think it's boring. He's not showing off any chains. He's not any cars.
Yeah.
But he's talking real shit.
Yeah. No, I saw that in my during my high school years too, because I always messed with Kendrick, but I was definitely probably more of a J. Cole fan. And I know having conversations just with like my friends during lunch and stuff, like I would always be kind of an advocate of his music, and they'd always be like, "Yeah, he's cool, but like he's boring. Like it's always the same thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, because this is what's going on. Like this is real life. Like all that chain flashiness, like it's all cool and it's all good. Like I'm not gonna. There's value in that too. But this is what's really happening, and this is what's really affecting us. It's affecting me. It's affecting you. So it's like, but you can't force people to listen. So.
No, you can't. It's sad. I know a lot of people like his like some of his most popular songs. Like if you think about it, DNA. Because that song, it's a dope song. He raps fast. He has a hard beat. The beat switch towards the end. His lyrics. A lot of people love that. They liked Loyalty with Rihanna. They liked what was it, Mad City. That's a hype song. And Swimming Pools or Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. But when you look at those songs on the bass level, it's like, yeah, you can turn up to those songs, but it's why don't you go listen to Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst? Oh, you don't want to? It's 12 minutes long. Well, you're listening to, you're like, I don't know how to put it, but it's like I can see it in my mind when he's rapping it, and it's insane.
It's really an insane thing.
The lyrics really touch you.
Yeah, for sure. Even with sorry.
No, you go. No.
I was gonna say, even with the songs that you mentioned before, like Swimming Pools and DNA, like he actually did a song with YG too that was like Really Be, right? And I feel like with a lot of songs like that, like even going back to Andre 3000, I can't remember what the name of the song was, but it was like one of his most famous ones. It's like, hey, like I'm not gonna try to sing it, but I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Even though those are lit songs and those are songs that you like can turn up to, if you even take a second to just sit down and listen to the lyrics of it, because Swimming Pools it's about alcoholism, right? It's about struggling with alcoholism. Really Be with him and YG, that's like PTSD from just growing up in really like bad environments, where you're seeing people die in front of you like from a young age, and you're forced to kind of be in these situations that you don't really want to be in. So I don't know, it's interesting. He's definitely a great artist. I feel like his talent is crazy. And for anybody that's saying he's not like speaking out right now, I can't speak to that too much because I haven't been following it. But I know that with Kanye, he didn't really speak out, but he has been at the movements. He has, donated a lot of money. So I feel like Kendrick is maybe just one of those people who are more about actions than words. So like maybe he's doing stuff behind the scene that we don't know about, but that's just me giving him like the benefit of the doubt. So.
No, yeah. You mentioned Kanye. Didn't he donate $2 million to the George Floyd?
Yeah, he did, and some more money too. I forgot to where exactly, but it was something to like help fund the protests and stuff like that. And he was actually in a protest too, like so.
I saw that. Yeah, he donated money to the foundation. He set up a college fund for his daughter.
Yeah.
He donated to black businesses in Chicago. That if you can talk all the shit you want about Kanye being crazy about whatever he says, but he cares about his community.
He does.
That's the one thing I can't get past. You know, everyone, a lot of people are like, oh no, Kanye, you know, he's awful. You know, he likes Trump, and it's like okay, but have you seen what he's been doing for the people of Chicago? He's wants for them.
Right.
It's
Right.
you know, it's touching to see someone be so involved in their community, especially when
Exactly.
you're way past the point of living there.
Exactly. Like he doesn't need to do any of the things that he's
No,
doing, but you know, it's a good thing that he is doing it. And I don't know, even with like, I definitely don't agree with a lot of what he says, but like,
yeah,
I think if we just give time to at least just, I don't know, I feel like we just dismiss people too quickly, right? So we hear something we don't like and we're like, all right, bet, forget that person. Like they're bad, this, that, and the third. I'm just like,
cancel them.
let's understand that these are human beings and that people have their opinions, and even if those opinions are wrong, we
Mm-hmm.
should like actually, even when those opinions are wrong, especially when those opinions are wrong, that's when we need to like give more attention to them in a sense. Like that's when we need to have conversations and figure out what's going on. Like let's not just throw them away because you know they're people. So I don't know.
Do,
That's just how I feel about it.
do you do you know who Khalif Browder is?
No, no, I
Okay.
don't know about that.
He was an African American male
Yeah,
who he was arrested for something that he didn't do, that you know it wasn't, you know, the evidence wasn't there to prove 100% that he did it.
right.
He just fit the description, and you know they thought they got the guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they put him in Rikers Island. I don't know if you know what anything about Rikers Island, but it was one of the
Yeah,
toughest prisons in the
yeah,
country.
yeah.
They put really dangerous people in there,
Oh,
and
yes, yes, yes. Sorry, carry on.
no,
But
no,
I'm,
no, you're fine.
yeah,
And Jay-Z helped produce a TV show about his life and what he went
yeah,
through in the prison system a couple years ago,
yeah.
and how he took his life after the fact that,
Right.
you know, he was put through this something that he shouldn't
Yeah,
have been put through.
he was in
Um,
solitary confinement too. Like they
mhm.
had him in. Yeah, yeah. I remember that story. I didn't. The name hadn't. But yeah, I remember.
If you saw his face, you would definitely be
Yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He and you know, I was just going through my time on Instagram today, and he's another name that popped up, and I'm seeing a lot of people comment, oh, prayers up to him and his family, and it's like, I know these people didn't hear about him at
Yeah,
like the first time around, and I do very much get so passionate and angry at the fact that a lot of people didn't hear about these before.
yeah,
Um, that is something that definitely resonates with me. I know a lot of people now are still I know in high school, a lot of people would make jokes about, you know, black people,
yeah,
and you know, they would think it's funny. You know, I would kind of sit there and be like, you know, I don't really think this is, you know,
yeah.
necessary. I don't think it's funny, because you know, these are, you know, why should we make fun of their culture when, you know, or them as people when, you know, none of us are perfect, and you don't know how much bad
Right.
stuff that, you know, your ancestors or people have probably done.
Yeah,
um you know, I don't think it's funny to use the N word. You know, if you're a white kid, you know, call someone that.
yeah,
Um, you know, I don't think it's funny. I don't like it at all. I think it's awful. It makes me want to, you know, it makes me want to, you know, get up and, you know, do, you know,
right.
push it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It makes me want to get up and do something like, yo, you got to stop. Like if I saw that happening in front of me, I would do something about it.
Right.
Um, but no, I know, you know, growing up, a lot of people, you know, would use that word freely because, you know, they were like, oh, I'm white. There's no black people around. You know, there's no
Yeah.
consequence to it.
Right.
But it's like, you know, if I put them in a room with you and, you know, a whole bunch of people that we're friends with at Bridgewater,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that are part of the people of color,
Yeah.
they would not say that word at all. They wouldn't even think about it,
Right.
because they'd be like, you know, they would realize it's wrong in the moment. They'd be like, why, you know, I would never
Right.
say that in front of them. Well,
Right.
why would you say it, you know, when they're not around then? It's
Yeah.
it's aggravating.
That's true. That's true. I think what we do behind closed doors is a better reflection of our true selves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, especially living in a social media type era, like you only see what people let you see. And when they're around you, you only see like how they're acting around you. So I don't know. I think that type of mentality, like like what you just described of how they're comfortable saying that just because we're not there, like that to me is kind of scary, because it's like, well, then that means that that sits in your mind and that's something that you think about. That's something you low-key think is okay, and
Mhm.
you only change because there are other people around you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's I when whenever it happens, if it still does happen when I'm around and they say something like that, I sit there and think about it. I'm just like, you would never say this in front of an actual black person.
right,
Like, it's like, I don't know why you're putting up, I don't know why you think this is funny. I don't know why you think you can do it now.
right,
And not when when they would be here, you would be silent as a mouse.
right,
Um, but a lot of people do feel that white privilege. They're like, "Oh, I'm white, I can do it." Um, that's a thing that a lot of people have been talking about now too. White privilege. It's real. It's real.
yeah,
I've seen some people deny it lately that it's real.
yeah. No, it's definitely something that exists. It's something that's existed for a while. I think it's hard for us to really. I don't know. It's impossible for me to really think that someone could see that as not something that is real in like the world that we live in today. I think people just misunderstand what it is, or maybe just don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's something that's apparent. I know that I've like seen it like instances all over the place. I know like in high school, there was, I think it was a situation. I know that like one of my friends had probably gotten in trouble for something that they hadn't even actually done, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's there. It's there. It's just it's what you don't see or what doesn't happen to you usually because of the color of your skin. Like you don't have to worry about because you're white, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about some certain things because I'm black, and like that right there is like white. So I don't know. That's how I would probably describe it best.
Yeah. Um, that's a really good description. A lot of people need to understand that the true definition of white privilege. I think people need to understand the true definitions of not only words that we use now, but the true definitions of what some of these movements are, other than what the news is just telling you.
Right.
You can never 100% believe the news. The news is the people on the news are given what they're told to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Uh, that's 100% fact. Um, but it's up to you to go out, do your own research, make your own judgments, and not just listen to whatever someone on a TV is telling you. Go read
Exactly.
some documents.
Exactly.
Go,
Read some books. Read some
yes,
books.
read books. Read books. Books are important. Do you know how many books about racism and injustice are
Oh
being
my God.
bought now?
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like people are finally kind of waking up to it a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of white people want to educate, not just white people, but a lot
Yeah.
of people in general want to educate themselves. And that's really good. That's good.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's awesome. I think that should have been happening, but like I'm glad
Yeah.
this is happening now. Um, I don't know. There's always downsides to every situation, but I definitely because there's gonna be people who might maybe take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
But um, I'd say for majority, it's a good thing because like education and not being ignorant, like that's the most important thing. Because I think a lot of racism, a lot of hate just comes out of ignorance. It's hard. I'd find it hard to hate someone if I can relate to them and I understand them. Like I can't just be mad at you for who you are if I know who you are and I know that you're not a bad person. So we just need to like educate ourselves more and learn and talk and be civil in some sense.
Definitely. People need to make their own judgments instead of what other people want. Whether
Yeah.
whether it's parents, whether it's their parents, their
Yeah.
families, or what they see on in the news.
Yeah.
Definitely. There is such thing as fake news, but it's not what Trump's telling you. Let me tell you.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about with you. Do you have anything you want to say at the end? I usually have people. I always forget to do this. I always mean to tell people before we press record
Right.
that I will give them a little opportunity at the end to give a shout out for anything that they want.
Um.
Whatever.
Dang, I wish I had prepared for it, but there's definitely stuff. There's definitely stuff. I'm trying to look. I had saved a few links, like just for I don't know, if I can't find it right now, then the main things I would say is like, you know, sign as many petitions as you can, donate if you can. If you can't donate, there's other ways. Like, I saw going around, there's like YouTube channels that are streaming, and you can literally just have it in the background, and you know, all that money goes towards the donation. So, you know, doing that, speaking out, being a support, trying to educate yourself. Like the least you can do is try to educate yourself. If nothing else, like just try to learn. Um, and yeah, hold on, let me. I'm trying to see if I can find.
No, you good? You good?
Let me see. Yeah, right now it's looking slow, but I don't know. Join the protests. You know, just do whatever you can. Just don't let this be a one-time thing, because my biggest fear is just that it'll like die out and we'll hear about the next situation, and I just don't want that to happen, because you know, if this is what happens now, like I just know not too far down the line it's gonna get even worse, and if we
Yeah.
don't want to see that happen, then we need to make a change now. So that's my last message.
Are they links to charities and donations?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna leave them. Send them to me, and
Yeah.
I'll leave them in the description.
Okay.
So I'm
Definitely.
definitely gonna tell people to donate. And post it on my social media. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I love the conversation, man. It was nice talking to you again.
Bro, of course, dude.
Yeah.
I want to have you again.
For
Sometime.
sure. I'm down. I'm down.